Good morning. My name is Carol Tomkiel. I teach English at the MacDuffie School in Granby, Massachusetts. Today, I'm here at the Holyoke Media Center in Holyoke, Massachusetts with my students. We are debating the merits of the principal characters in Medea by Euripides. As some of you may know, Medea is a play of tragic passions, primarily between the legendary hero of the Argonauts, Jason, and his foreign bride, Medea. They meet during Jason's quest for the Golden Fleece, marry, and live peacefully for years in the city-state of Corinth. That is, until Jason decides to leave his wife and children for a new bride. Of course, we'll get more into the play in just a minute as our debate gets underway, but before we do that, I would like each team to introduce themselves. I'll start here to my left with Team Medea.
Hi, I'm Brooklyn. I'm from Massachusetts. I'm a senior at MacDuffie, and I am going to college for a BFA.
Hi, I'm Tyga. I'm a senior in MacDuffie, and I'm going to college for psychology.
And everyone, please make sure you're close to the mic.
Hi, my name is Yerner. I'm a senior in MacDuffie. I'm from Kazakhstan, and I'm going to college for biotechnology.
Hi, my name's JP. I'm from Puerto Rico. I'm a senior in MacDuffie, and I want to major in biology.
And again, I'm going to ask all of you to look at the way that I'm speaking. As we've just been taught, I'm very, very close to the mic. You need to be as well, or as it will not be picked up. Roy.
Hello. Good morning, everyone. My name is Troy, and I am a senior at MacDuffie, and I'm open to explore all the possibilities in college, but I think I am interested in physics and philosophy. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Steve. I come from Vietnam, and I'm a senior at the MacDuffie School, and I'm going to major in pol sci and laws.
Thank you, Team Medea. Again, Team Jason, as you introduce yourself, you want to be able to actually hear your voice the way it sounds right now. Okay, so get close to that mic.
Hi, my name is Dan. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I'm a senior at the MacDuffie School, and I plan to major in business.
Hi, I'm Rihanna, and I am a senior at the MacDuffie School, and I plan to major in political science.
Great. Make sure if you're a little shorter than the person who came before you, that you're bending down that mic. Bend down that mic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Valentine. I'm from Brazil, and I'm the student body president at the MacDuffie School. I intend to study science in my college.
Hi, my name is Andrew. I'm from MacDuffie. I'm a senior. I'm from Granby, Massachusetts. I plan to go to college for civil engineering.
Hello, my name is Mateo. I also live in Granby, and I'm a senior at MacDuffie, and I plan to go to college for mechanical engineering.
Thank you very much, students, for introducing yourselves. They could have said a lot more about themselves. They're really involved in school activities, student newspaper, sports, teams, all kinds of clubs. This is a busy group with a lot of activities. But we're going to get started with our debate today. We are beginning with the opening statement by Team Medea.
In the story of Medea, Jason's actions are the cause of Medea's behavior. Medea is a victim not only of infidelity, but patriarchal values in ancient Greek society. Jason, who represents these patriarchal values, has overlooked her pain and feelings. Jason's lack of empathy, as well as his betrayal and selfishness, impact Medea, a woman who is willing to sacrifice everything for him. Jason's actions ruin the foundation of trust and loyalty in their relationship, leaving her in a state of despair. Medea is not just one who suffers from this mistrust of love, she is a victim of Jason's manipulation. Jason represents the stereotypical patriarchal figure who is selfish, impetuous actions are the cause of tragic events. His hubris and egoism brought on his actions. In abandoning his wife Medea for Glauce, the daughter of King Creon, Jason prioritizes his selfish desires for reputation rather than the loyalty he is expected to bestow on his family. He conducts himself without respect for the sacrifices Medea has made for him, such as leaving her homeland and risking her life to retrieve the Golden Fleece. Jason's behavior emphasizes his lack of empathy and respect for Medea, resulting in Medea being a tool for advancement and for his self-gain.
As Medea is confronted with Jason's betrayal,
Closer to the mic.
she reacts to assert what little power she has to seek revenge. Although she is acutely aware of her actions and their moral implications, her pain drives her to seek retribution. She is in a society that offers her no protection as a foreigner and a woman, so she resorts to extreme measures to assert agency in a world that pursues to silence her voice. Furthermore, Jason aims to rationalize his betrayal by downplaying how harmful his actions were to Medea, claiming that his new marriage with Glauce would benefit their family for the foreseeable future, only highlights how he won't take accountability. Emphasizing his or his future family's benefit to rationalize the betrayal and ignoring Medea as an equal member of the family, Jason had his egotistical mindset and selfishness self-evident. Jason dismisses Medea's struggles and suffering, disregarding the magnitude of her sacrifices. Jason abandons his wife and his accountabilities as a father and a husband. Jason underestimated Medea's capacity and capability for violence, despite her past actions like killing her brother and manipulating others into murder. His decision to cheat on Medea after marrying and having 2 children with her also reveals a reckless ignorance of the emotional and physical consequences involved. Jason's betrayal and ignorance of Medea's suffering lead to the consequences of his choices in the marriage, underscoring how impactful betrayal can truly be. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Medea. Excuse me, if I could just quickly summarize. Team Medea is suggesting that Medea is a victim, not only of Jason's infidelity, but of the patriarchy of ancient Greek society in general. In addition, the group suggests that Jason's character flaws, which are numerous, they say, contribute to her despair. They also suggest that Jason ignores the many sacrifices she made for him. And finally, that as a foreigner and a woman in Greece, she has no agency, which puts her in a position of isolation and alienation. Thank you very much. Over to the opening statement for Team Jason.
In the play Medea by Euripides, Jason is a compassionate and thoughtful character, does less wrong than Medea, cannot be blamed for the murders in the story, and is not responsible for the tragedy of the story that ensues. Jason does what he considers the best for his children, while Medea is consumed by revenge and is a dangerous serial killer. She murdered people with only the motivation of revenge. She used her manipulative and vindictive nature against her victims. Medea plots and schemes to commit serial murder, follows throughout with her plot, and is happy to hear that the plan caused maximum suffering to those involved. Medea is a menacing and deceptive individual due to her sadistic character. She is manipulative by putting on a mask and scheming to commit murder. She is also fueled by pure emotions and a far-fetched idea of revenge, instead of acting calm and logical, which was a quality well appreciated by the Greeks during the time the play was written. Medea chooses to act in this extreme manner instead of choosing to act in moderation, which was the value of the Greeks. After Medea kills her children, she chooses to be Aegis's lover and live a life of luxury without her children. She chose to kill her kids by saying they would have a bad life in exile, and then proceeded to live a luxurious life. She does not love her children. Medea will undoubtedly be held accountable for her crimes, both back in ancient times and today. In the case of Medea's homicide, according to ancient law, the vast majority of all homicide cases are responded to with the death penalty. Furthermore, Medea's severe aggression in killing the king would cement her penalty. Medea cannot be excused of guilt because her psychomachia, the ability to recognize the wrongdoing of her actions, as well as the repercussions, demonstrates her ability to allow her selfishness and vengeance to justify child murder. Medea herself recognizes the lawful injustice she is committing, or else she would not go to Aegis to seek refuge after committing her crimes. Medea's murders cannot be excused by her circumstances because she chose to waste the lives of the innocent children so that she could, in her selfish nature, reach the revenge she thinks she needs due to her Machiavellian intentions. Medea knows the moral implications of her acts and still chooses to murder people. The fact that Jason broke his marital vows without Medea's knowledge does not give her the endorsement to murder their children. Medea also chose to kill Glauce, who was completely innocent in the arranged marriage and relished in her suffering. Everywhere she goes, death seems to follow. Medea brought exile upon herself due to the consequences of her acts. She chose to curse the king. Jason does not intend to have Medea exiled. He's in fact doing the opposite and trying to vouch for Medea directly to Creon, the king. Jason does not want to abandon Medea and offers as much assistance as he can. However, she openly chooses to refuse it. Jason aims to give his kids the best life possible, and he acknowledges that because Medea is manipulative, dangerous, and not in control of her emotions, he decides that his kids will be safer if raised by another woman. He does not want to get rid of Medea. He only wants to give his kids the best life possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Team Jason. Again, if I could just quickly summarize, Team Jason is suggesting that Jason is really a very compassionate character, not only towards his children, but even his former wife, Medea, as he tries to assist her in her plight and exile, possible exile. He can in no way, says Team Jason, be blamed for the murders. It is completely Medea's guilt and fault, as she is fueled by extreme passion, something that was not venerated by the ancient Greeks, who espoused moderation in all things. Medea is after revenge, not justice, and there is no way that she can be defended for her multiple murders, not only of her own children, but of the king and the princess. Even according to ancient law, she would receive the death penalty. Marital infidelity is in no way a reason for multiple murders. All right, we're back over here. First point with Team Medea.
In your opening statement, you said that she does not love her children. I have a quote here that proves otherwise. My friends, I am resolved to act quickly to slay the children and depart from the land. I can delay no longer, or my children will fall into the murderous hands of those that love them less than I do. Page 243. So in this quote, it's almost like an act of mercy in her eyes, trying to save her children from the torment of Jason, as a final act of protection from their father and from the entire city. She's afraid that people will be crueler to her kids than her once she leaves society, so she kills her children in an act to protect them.
Team Medea is suggesting that her children actually might be killed if they remain in Corinth and she is exiled. Team Jason.
Medea wants to be feared, and she says, "Nobody shall despise me or think me weak or passive. Quite the contrary, I am a good friend but a dangerous enemy." This quote shows how Medea is using her innocent children to hurt Jason, so her intentions for killing them aren't actually good.
So Team Jason says that Medea kills her children not out of any sympathy for their future plight, but because she is someone who wants to be feared and perhaps has hubris in that respect. Over here to Team Medea.
So the Team Jason said that Medea wants to be feared. However, we believe Medea wants to be taken seriously because the whole time she was belittled and abused by Jason's manipulations.
So Team Medea says you can interpret the concept of fear in a number of ways. Team Medea is choosing to interpret fear as respect and acknowledgement for her status and past sacrifice. Over here, Team Jason.
Since you cited hubris, according to the Britannica Dictionary, hubris in ancient Athens, the intentional use of violence to humiliate or degrade. Aristotle refers to hubris in his piece Rhetoric, as hubris consists in doing and saying things that cause shame to the victim, simply for the pleasure of it. Medea is a clear example of hubris, especially after the chorus line, quote, "Surely you will not have the heart to destroy your own flesh and blood." Medea says, "I shall. It will hurt my husband most that way."
So we have a definition here of hubris, which seems to suggest that Medea's intentions are filled with pride and in real considered intention in hurting Jason. Medea.
I would like to briefly comment on the chorus. The chorus is not a reliable character because throughout the story they do flip back and forth with siding with Medea and then siding with Jason. But I would like to come back to the point of her killing her children. So I have a quote from page 247. "I shall bury them with my own hands, taking them to the sanctuary of Hera of the Cape, where no enemy may violate their tombs and do them insult. Here in the land of Sisyphus we shall establish a solemn festival and appoint rites for the future to expiate their impious murder." So yes, she kills her children, as Tyga stated, to protect them from further violence, but she doesn't want them to be tormented after their death, so she wants the goddess Hera to protect them, and Hera is the goddess of marriage, woman, and family, all of Medea's values, and all that she wanted with her and Jason. And she acknowledges what she has done. Jason does not fully acknowledge his betrayal of Medea.
So Team Medea is saying that Medea is, looking to the life of the afterworld for her children, not only the life in Corinth, and her values are those of the values of Hera, that she is in fact protecting and trying to provide a home for her children, albeit one in the underworld. Team Jason.
First, I'll respond to the idea that she is wishing her children eternal protection by Hera. However, what greater danger is to them than killing them? Jason has already spoken with the princess and the king about the children and their exile, so it is unlikely that they will actually be exiled from Corinth. Furthermore, since the king is dead because of Medea, there is nobody to exile them immediately. There's also the notion that the Greeks believed that the underworld is where anybody who died would be sent, and because the kids have lived such a short life, there is no guarantee that they will be sent to the fields of Elysium, which is where people can prosper and live happy lives in the underworld. There is no guarantee of this. Medea has no control of this, and her values in killing her children is not reflected in the values of Hera.
So Team Jason is saying that two things are really in question that Medea seems to treat as certainties. One is that they will be exiled. That's not a certainty. Jason is working against that. And second, that she can control the welfare of her children in the underworld. Team Medea.
So you're saying that killing isn't justified, but I believe it's somewhat wrong. So according to the Periclean citizenship law of 451, it says that women, slaves, and foreign residents or metics were generally excluded from citizenship rights. This meant that they could not participate in political life, hold public office, or vote. So even though Jason wants to have best for his children, I believe that the Corinthians would eventually kill the children of Medea and Jason because they cannot inherit the status that they want to be, or the royal status.
So according to Team Medea, although Jason says his intentions are to protect his children with Medea by marrying the princess, he cannot guarantee this, and in fact, Periclean law suggests that they will remain vulnerable as long as they are children, and perhaps, in addition, children of a foreigner. Over here to Team Jason.
I would like to go back to the
Closer to the mic,
Okay.
please.
I would like to go back and say about how you guys said that she would like to make her children like good by burying them in Hera's place. But she's actually doing that to cause more suffering to Jason. And in the quote from page 248, Jason says, "I invoke the powers above to bear me witness that you slew my children and now you prevent me from embracing their bodies and giving them burial." So this causes more anguish to Jason.
So it is rather interesting that Jason is concerned with the burial of his children, which Medea is denying him. Burial was an essential ritual in Greek society. If the deceased were not buried, they were doomed to wander for eternity. So that is a legitimate concern. Team Jason is also saying that this is really about revenge. Medea's intention to hurt him. Team Medea.
Okay, I just want everybody to remember that Medea's purpose is to protect the children instead of hurting them. And obviously, if Medea did not kill them, the children will face in the more brutal fate, which is they're probably gonna killed by the royal family or something. We've done research on this thing, and we found 4 Greek plays which, after the divorce of couples, the children were killed by the new family or injured or hurt by the new family. And we found a play which is called The Myth of Theseus and Pedra. In this myth, Pedra falsely accuses her stepson of trying to seduce her, leading to his death. Although not a direct killing by the new family, it demonstrates that how the new wife's influence can result in harm to children from the previous relationship. And this thing, it's kind of parallel with Medea's fear about Glycate's potential hostility towards her children. And also, we have to take in consideration of the new family getting involved in this is a royal family. And also, according to history and past experiences, all of the royal family is much more brutal than normal families. So I want you to remember that Jason didn't do anything to protect his children, but Medea did.
So Team Medea is suggesting that taking his children into the royal family might be a very, very precarious action on his part. Other dramas of the period suggest that children in a similar situation do not fare well. Team Jason.
I have a quote that shows Medea's true intention behind killing her children. Before she killed them, she says, "I can endure guilt, however horrible. The laughter of my enemies I will not endure," which shows Medea's true intention and shows how broken and emotionally unstable she is.
So when Medea is explaining her actions, she is saying that it is her desire not to be laughed at. So perhaps we're talking about hubris again. Back over here, Team Medea.
Well, it's completely 2 different points. We're talking about the killing of children as sexual protection, and you're talking about her actions as actually revenge. Revenge is taken part from the totally different things. Okay, I want to respond to you that please remember that Medea's actions are a response to Jason's betrayal. Well, it is true that Medea physically caused the tragedy. Her actions were driven by Jason's betrayal and manipulation. Jason abandoned her and their children, and Jason triggered her desperate need for revenge. The catalyst for this tragedy is Jason's betrayal, making him the initiator of the chain of events that followed. And also, Medea is really consistent in this show, in this play, but Jason he does not. Medea is consistent in her pursuit of revenge against Jason, driven by the values of Greek honor culture where betrayal demanded retribution. She acknowledges the immorality of her actions but commits to them to restore her dignity and autonomy. We have stated this point for several times, but it seems like you're trying to distort it.
Okay, so we have some challenging words there coming from Team Medea, who is saying that Jason's infidelity, abandonment, and betrayal are the catalysts for any actions Medea undertakes, and that she is consistent, at least, in her revenge, which Team Medea says is based really on the principles of honor and dignity. Feel free to raise a new point or to continue with this one.
I would like to bring up Medea's consistent streak of murders. And you said that she is consistent, and she is a consistent murderer. So, according to Britannica.com, Medea is responsible for Peleus' death. Peleus is her uncle. By persuading his daughters to cut up and boil their father in the mistaken belief that he would thereby recover his youth. And there is also another story where she murders her own brother by cutting him up into pieces. And so she has a consistent streak of murders, so she's already prone to murder, so you cannot say that Jason is the sole cause for the 4 murders in the play.
So Team Jason is saying that Medea's murders include not only those of her own children and the royal family, but individuals before the play begins, and they say that those murders are in no way connected to Jason? Team Medea?
I want to bring a question to your group. If Jason knew Medea's killing, why did he marry her?
I won't summarize it. I think it's a pretty clear one.
I'll briefly answer that and then raise a new point. So Jason is essentially marrying Medea in exchange for his life. We have to remember that Medea is offering to help him with the Golden Fleece in exchange for his marriage. Then I would like to bring up the fact that in the following episode of the myth, Medea arrives in Athens after leaving Corinth and begets 2 children to Aegis. She also tries to unsuccessfully assassinate Theseus, who is Aegis' son. This is his long-lost son, and it is through a fear that he might usurp her current children's birthright with Aegis. So she does not need her broken love with Jason in order to be capable of murder. So Jason is not the catalyst of this again. This is after the entire effect of the play.
So Team Jason is referencing her life with Aegis at the end of the play, where she seems to be continuing her murderous streak, and it seems to have nothing to do with Jason. Team Medea.
So your answer is basically that he's taking advantage of Medea because she was going to be able to protect him. I have a quote here. It says, "It was the goddess of love and none other, mortal or immortal, who delivered me from the dangers of my quest." So he really doesn't value what Medea has done for him, since he believed it was the goddess of love and that's it.
So Jason is referencing Aphrodite, the goddess of love, for his success with the Golden Fleece and all of his other adventures. He's not giving credit to Medea, but he's also acknowledging that Medea was shot with an arrow by Eros. Team Jason.
First, I would like to refute your point. In page 246, when Jason says, "In your own home, you had already slain your brother when you came aboard the Argo, that lovely ship." So Jason's saying that before they were actually going back and marry, because they married in the middle of the quest, she already killed her brother. And also, I would like to raise a new point. The chorus says, Only one woman, only one in the history of the world, laid murderous hands on her children. The chorus is the population, right? So they think is unique and extraordinary that a woman is murdering her own children. And that sounds uncommon. But it is very common, it was very common to change brides, let's say. Here we can see that in the Iliad by Homer, Zeus, married to Hera, admits his love for Leto, another woman. I loved glorious Leto, quote.
So Jason's team is referencing the chorus here. The chorus is aghast, is shocked at the behavior of Medea, that she could kill her own children for any reason. And then they are also referencing other Greek works where, let's say, divorce was a common and legal practice for men, Greek men. Over here to Medea.
So Brooklyn already referenced that the chorus is untrustable and they flip back and forth between the audiences. But I want to raise a new point with psychology. So Psych Central states if you've ever been cheated on, it may take a long time to heal. It can cause you chronic anxiety, post-traumatic stress, depression, and mistrust of others for a long time after the event. So Medea is mentally unstable because of Jason cheating on her, as well as Aphrodite having Cupid strike Medea with a love arrow. So she had no choice but to fall in love with Jason. She mistrusts the entire system as well as men because no one protected her except for Aegis, the king of Athens. And she's essentially blinded by love and the mistrust of others, as well as any possible disorders that may have arisen that have been influenced by Jason's actions. So, yes.
So we have a couple of points here coming to you from Team Medea. The point that she's been made to fall in love with Jason because of Aphrodite's arrow suggests that perhaps she did not have free will, or at least gives some reason to why she is acting in such an extreme, immoderate way. In addition, Team Medea is saying that she's suffering some type of mental instability due to all of the extreme behaviors she's done out of her passion for Jason. And lastly, that she really doesn't have any men she can trust, except, of course, for Aegis. Back over here to Team Jason.
All right, I'll try to respond to a few of the points you made here. First off, if you look at the chronology of the story, the chorus doesn't actually flip back and forth between the two sides. It just starts off supporting Medea, and then when in light of the true nature of her actions comes to light, they are no longer in support of Medea. Secondly, you mentioned that Medea is justified in her killings, but and that the love that she is given by Aphrodite is the cause of this, or at least stripping her for free will. When I already mentioned that the story after the events of this, when Jason is no longer a part of Medea's life, Medea is still fully capable of murder. This is to say that her actions are not entirely responsible due to the fact that she is under Aphrodite's control, because when she is not, she is still able to commit murder.
Thank you. Over here to Medea.
Okay, I want everybody to remember that the chorus in the Greek plays, they are representing the society and lot population, which is the crowd. And I do want you to remember that the chorus shift their point very frequently. After Jason speaking, after Medea speaking, they're shifting their points very frequently, so they are not a reliable force to determine who's right or wrong. And also I want to remember, I want everybody to remember that according to the book, the crowd, like mass of population, they are demonstrating low IQ behaviors, and they are not demonstrating a reliable source that is trustable and for bring them up as evidence in debate. And also, I want to respond to the point that you've made, saying like at the end of the play, Medea is still having these behaviors. As we've talked about before, the psych influence from betrayal and the hurts inside and the mental stability is gonna last long. It's a long-lasting effect. So that was all caused by Jason's betrayal and these things. So you guys are not just mentioning at the end of the play, because at the end of the play, it was after Jason's betrayal. It's still in the long effect. So, yep.
So Team Medea is refuting a couple of points that you made. One that V made, that the chorus is really aghast at, really shocked at her intention to murder her children. But Team Medea says later in the play, they're sympathetic to Jason, that they vacillate, that they really can't be trusted because they're not consistent necessarily in their opinions or their judgments of the characters. The second point that you are building on is this one of mental instability, which you say, of course, is going to manifest itself for many, many years, even during her time with Aegis. It doesn't matter if Jason is there or not. The lasting effects are. Over here to Team Jason.
You guys brought up that she is unstable and
Closer to the mic, please. There you go.
Medea is insane, but she is aware, so mental illness is not an excuse. She is well aware that her actions are wrong, and just because she was shot with an arrow does not mean she can go mad and kill her innocent children.
I wanted to add the point about while Medea was struck with an arrow and forced to fall in love, this is not a reason for her to murder innocent people. In the story of Metamorphosis by Ovid, Eris shot Apollo with an arrow to make him fall in love with Daphne. And while he was madly in love with her, he never attempted to hurt her in any way. And he obsessed over her so much that after she turned into a tree to get away from him, he cherished the tree. And that's not what Medea did.
So we've got a couple of points here, a little tag team debate going on over here. Team Jason saying, first of all, Medea might be mentally unstable. She might be suffering from all kinds of traumas, but she does know right and wrong. She says it in the play, and that makes her culpable, according to Team Jason. The second point being raised is a reference to another great work by Ovid, where, again, the gods control the mortals in terms of their love and their passions, but no murder necessarily ensues. Okay, back over here to Team Medea.
Just wanted to ask you a question about Jason. And I'm going to start it with, why does Jason doesn't care that much about his children, even though he says he does? I have a quote. It's on page 233 in our book. So be it, tell me what has life to offer them. They have no father, no home, no refuge from danger. Jason's actions, they don't really speak. He doesn't really do anything to support his children, though he could.
So Medea is talking to Jason in this passage you just heard, and it's Medea who's saying to Jason, our children will have no father, no home, no refuge. And so Team Medea wants to know why Jason doesn't care about his children. Team Jason?
So I'd like to come back to one previous point that you brought up earlier, saying that Medea was hurt by Jason's betrayal. But the question I have for you is, does Medea not affect more innocent people? She may be hurt, yes, but she ends up affecting and killing way more people than Jason hurts. And especially the princess, who was in an arranged marriage. She was completely innocent, had nothing to do with any of this. And Medea was happy that she was killed.
So we touched on this a little bit before, but here we have it said more explicitly, that Medea's actions, murderous actions of a number of people, including many innocents, in no way correlates to what was done to her. Her pain can in no way equal all the pain she has done to others. Team Medea. A little conferring going on here.
So I remember you guys brought the earlier point that you guys say that the killing wasn't justified, but I believe that there wasn't just love of the Aphrodite's arrows that shot on Medea, but I believe that was also the love for the children as well. Since according to RIT, or Research Institute Technology, it says that maternal bonds, especially to their between the mothers, daughters, and sons, there's a really strong bond between them. And as I said earlier about the Periclean citizenship law of 451, the children have to be full. This means that the mother and the father needs to be natives in order to have their citizenship right. So, as well as when I refer to the strong bond between the mother and the children, at the end, the King Creon also wanted to banish Medea from Corinth. This means that Medea will never be able to come back to Corinth, and we can also know that during the ancient Greek society, women were especially restricted to their domestic sphere. That means that Medea, we can arguably say that she had contributed and nurtured the children for most of the time. And yeah, so on page 18, Medea said, Creon had banished me from Corinth. And on page 7, this is when King Creon wanted to decree the exile order. You there with a skull on your face, raging against your husband Medea, I command you to leave this land, taking your 2 children with you. Do not delay. Of this sentence of banishment, I am both judge and jury. I will not go back home again until I have cast you outside the borders of my country.
So essentially, excuse me, we have a double tag team going.
Just wanted to remind you to not avoid the question I brought up earlier about Jason's irresponsibility.
So just a little reminder for Team Jason there. Okay, and let me summarize what was said by Steve, that basically Creon is an autocratic tyrant, and Medea is a nurturing, maternal figure. And I hope I'm summarizing that correctly. Over here to Jason's team.
So I have a few things to respond to that. First of all, you can attempt to justify Medea's reasons for killing your children, but you've yet to justify her reasons for killing the king and the princess. Secondly, you mentioned that Jason is not accepting responsibility of a father and neglecting his children. Is that correct? Yeah. Okay.
Is that correct?
That Jason is neglecting his responsibilities as a father and not doing anything to try to help them? He doesn't want to support them. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to bring up Medea's manipulative nature, not only in her manipulation, but also in her using her children. She is speaking to Jason. She has youth and a king for a father, and to save my children from exile, I would give my very life, let alone gold. When Medea says this, she is planning to use her children as a tool to kill both the king and the princess. Not only is she planning to use them as a tool to kill both the king and the princess, but she has already decided that she is going to kill them after doing so. Secondly, you mentioned that Jason is not accepting responsibility, and that is irresponsible of him. But isn't it more irresponsible of Medea to kill her children? Why couldn't she just take them with her to Athens instead?
So I'm not sure I heard quite everything that was said, but I think the first part is suggesting that Medea is not maternal. She's manipulative. And the last point, I'm sorry, why couldn't Medea just take her children to take the children to Aegis, right? And live in a palace and live in luxury and all that comes with being the consort of another king. Back over here to Team Medea. They are conferring. Now they're ready.
So the context of this quote is a reference to Medea killing her children. My misery overwhelms me. Oh, I do realize how terrible is the crime I am about, but passion overrules my resolutions. Passion that causes most of the misery in the world. Page 240. So she is implying that she's killing her children as an act of revenge, protection, and an act of justice, or a way to assert her power, what little power she has. Medea is very aware of her actions and the moral implications of what she did, yes, but Jason betraying Medea and abandoning her for another woman leads to her acting irrationally because of him. Her emotions are so intense that she can't think rationally, thus including her internal conflict. After Jason left her for another woman, she needs to reclaim justice, and she has no other way of doing that other than this act that she does. So what I'm trying to say is don't blame her, blame the circumstances.
So we must consider Medea's circumstances, which have been touched on previously, that she's a woman, that she is a foreigner, that she does not have citizenship in Greece, that she is being left by her husband. All of these are situations that exacerbate her sense of revenge, passion, and I think what the team is saying, we can't judge Medea on logical or rational means because she's operating in an irrational realm and desperate circumstance. I think I have that right. All right, Jason, we are getting slowly towards the end of the debate. So just keep that in mind if you want to introduce brand new points, especially any research. Over here to Team Jason.
First of all, I would like to go back to why chorus they are a reliable source. They do switch back and forth. At the beginning of the play, they are by Medea's side because she did not commit any crime that they knew about in the beginning of the play. And then further in the play, she kills her children and the princess and the king. So I guess that is understandable that they do switch their mind. And now that I proved that they are a reliable source, I would like to restate this quote. May moderation content me, the fairest gift of heaven. You said that her emotions overshadowed her rational thinking and that made her kill her own children. That is not very good by the view of the citizens at that time, because moderation was something really important to them. Thank you.
So the chorus does seem to be judging Medea at the end, and they are judging her according to the golden rule of Greek society, the via media, moderation in all things. Over here to Medea.
Okay, so I would like to return to a point that you have made where you admitted that he married Medea in exchange for his life and able to get the golden fleece, basically explaining that he was using her. So this causes Medea to not trust Jason, and taking in the fact that he did leave her for Glauce. So when she does finally get help from Aegeus, the king of Athens, she does not trust him immediately because of the trauma that Jason has put her through. So I would just like to read a little passage from the book. Aegeus says, "Let him go then, since he is so base as you say." And then Medea, he became enamored in getting a king for a father-in-law. Aegeus, who gave him the bride? Please finish your story. Medea, Creon, the ruler of Corinth. Aegeus, in that case, madam, I can sympathize with your resentment. Medea, my life is ruined. What is more, I am being expelled from the land.
So I'm hearing from Team Medea that an important reminder that Medea saved Jason's life, right? There would be no Jason without the actions of Medea in her homeland before our play even begins. And the second point is that, according to Medea, Jason's really just interested in climbing the social ladder. He just wants entry into the royal family. Over here, Team Jason.
Jason is actually trying to help Medea. He's trying to understand her. He says, at any rate, heaven be my witness that I am willing to render every assistance to you and the children, but you do not like what is good for you. Your obstinacy repulses your friends. It will only aggravate your suffering. Even though it seems like he came off in the wrong, in the end, he really did want what was best for his children, and this proves he cares for his children and Medea, and he is a good father.
So Jason's team is pointing out Medea's, hamartia. Oh, excuse me.
I would like to refute Brooklyn's point. Brooklyn said that Jason used Medea in the original quest for the Golden Fleece. The problem with that is that Medea told Jason that he would have to marry her because she was helping him. And so his choice was he either dies or he marries her, because Medea said that he would be marrying her. And so his choice was death or the marriage. And obviously he chose the marriage. So he wasn't using her.
I'm sorry there. Andrew, are you sure you're done? Okay, Andrew's done. And so we've got a couple interesting points here from Team Jason. Number one, they're pointing out what we would call Medea's hamartia. Remember that term, her inner flaw, which, to quote the play, is obstinacy, stubbornness. And then, of course, Andrew's also bringing up a rather interesting catch-22, right? Choiceless choice, maybe is a better way to talk about it. Jason either lives or he marries Medea. Is that even a choice? He made the best choice he could. All right. So we're going to go maybe 1 point, and then we're going to wrap up. Over here to Team Medea.
Okay, we have talked about so many things, that what Medea has done, what Jason has done, and we've been blaming each other, and we've been trying to justify. But actually, in the play, all Medea's behavior has been justified. I want to mention that she actually has a divine endorsement. The intervention of gods at the end of the play, particularly when Medea escapes, suggests that her actions, while extreme, are not seen as entirely unjustified in the eye of the divine. The God support implies that Jason's betrayal is considered a graver transgression than Medea's violent revenge. It's just like a string. You press it harder, the harder it's gonna rebound. And it's like the extremity of Medea's behavior while she revenged actually reflects how she was treated, like brutally, was treated unfairly before being manipulated, being betrayed, all these things. So all the things that accumulated for like a while and just rebounds very extremely. And also I want to say this divine endorsement indicates that within a moral framework of the play, Jason's betrayal is the original saying that sets the tragic events in motion. While Medea's actions, though horrifying, are framed as a response to an unrepentant betrayer who is supported by an unjust society. And according to our research, according to National Geographic Society, the ancient Greeks believed in gods who were involved in all aspects of human life, like work, theater, justice, politics, and marriage, battle. There was no separation of church and state. And which means what God's words are going to be mainly acknowledged by the society of Greek, and it's going to be acknowledged by the Greek moral values. So according to what God has said, he endorsed Medea, so which means Medea's behavior is justified by the Greek society, and which is the framework of the book.
So Team Medea is reminding us that we have what's called Deus ex machina at the end of this play, the intervention of a supernatural being, in this case, the king of all kings, Zeus, who seems to be giving, as Roy says, a divine endorsement to Medea, either out of sympathy or understanding for her unrepentant betrayer and alienating society. Over here, Team Jason.
I'm going to respond to Brooklyn talking about Medea's interaction with Aegis. It's interesting that you bring that up because you mentioned that Aegis advised counseling Medea that if he was the basis of all men, to not involve herself with him anymore. First, this is demonstrating Aegis as a symbol of moderation in the story, and he's telling Medea not to do anything but leave this man. It is also interesting that you bring this up because in this entire interaction, Medea has hid her true nature and what she intends to do in the following parts of the story. She tells him, "Me who used to be his darling, he now despises." She tells Aegis that Jason despises him when he tried helping her multiple times and convinced Creon not to exile their children, all because she asked him to do so. Jason does not despise Medea. She does not tell Aegis that she is going to kill the kids. She does not tell Aegis that she is going to do any of the wrongs that she does in this play. She is simply manipulating him into letting her stay with him after the events of the play.
Thank you very much, Team Jason. I'm hoping Team Jason, perhaps before we conclude, could say something about the nature of the gods, perhaps in refutation of Roy. Back over here, one of your last comments, Medea.
So since your group likes to bring up how the chorus is reliable, we would like to use the chorus now as well. So I have a quote from 2:23. "The hearts of men are treacherous. The sanctions of heaven are undermined. The voice of time will change, and our glory will ring down the ages. Womankind will be honored. No longer will ill-sounding report attach to our sex." So since the chorus is reliable, chorus represents the women of the city, and they are basically saying how Jason's sacred vow of marriage has been ignored. And the chorus is calling for equality amongst women in the future and for Medea to have more of a say and to have power in her situation.
So Team Medea is saying that the chorus is calling for equality of women in ancient Greece society, and that in fact, by extension, Euripides and this play is calling for that. One of your last comments, Team Jason, maybe something about the gods?
First, I would like to say, to refute Brooklyn again, page 223 is before Medea kills her children. The chorus was by her side, and I stated that before she kills her children. Something that Roy said, that the consequences made her kill her children. Here, there's a quote on page 246. Jason, "You married me and bore me children, whom you have now destroyed because I left your bed. No Greek woman would ever have done such a deed." Again, in page 246, Medea says, "Do you think a woman considers that a small injury?" And Jason says, "Good women do, but you are wholly vicious." And stating something by the gods moral is definitely not reliable, especially Zeus, because he's done really unmoral things in all the story. And I already cited Iliad by Homer, where he continuously cheats on his wife.
I'm going back to Roy's point now about the gods and the divine intervention. This is according to Smith Dictionary of Greek and Roman Biography and Mythology. According to Greek mythology, a princess named Danae was impregnated by Zeus in the form of a golden shower. Antiope was seduced by Zeus in a guise of a satyr, and Callisto was deceived by Zeus, disguised as the maiden Artemis. Zeus is repeatedly unfaithful and even rapes women. This shows that the divine is not perfect. They also have flaws, and just because the divine are backing Medea doesn't mean that she is not without wrong.
The gods in ancient Greek culture were anthropomorphic, which means they had virtues and faults. And Zeus seems to be one of the more flawed gods that we have, and he cannot be used as a moral touchstone, according to Team Jason. Your last point, please, Team Medea.
Sorry. So I just want to go back to a previous point. Medea murdering Glauce, King Creon, her brother, and her 2 children is extreme, yes, but it was an act of justice in Medea's eyes. She had no other way to exert power, and she knew that once she had left, her children would be murdered anyways. Murdering her and Jason's 2 sons were an act of revenge to punish Jason as well, because it was erasing his lineage of males who were meant to be his successors, the 2 sons. In Greek society, male heirs were expected to continue the family legacy, inheriting wealth, power, and authority in the family name. And Jason's infidelity is the rationale behind Medea's heinous acts and emotions throughout the play. And this is from the article a tragic exploration of betrayal, revenge, and the complexities of womanhood, to which they also state she defies societal norms and expectations, asserting her agency and taking control of her own fate.
Medea is a woman ahead of her time. She is asserting her own agency in an otherwise oppressive culture. Last comment by Team Jason.
It is good that you say that Medea's actions are her view of what she can do that is justified. I would like to remind you, we're not arguing what Medea believes is right. We are arguing what is objectively right. And then finally, I would like to say, not only is Medea responsible for all the deaths that we have talked about, but Jason's possible death is either, in two different versions of the story, that he killed himself in agony due to Medea's actions, or he was struck by a piece of the Argo. Quote, "You, as is proper, will die the death you deserve, struck on the head by a fragment of the Argo. Now you will have seen the bitter fruits of your new marriage." Medea is responding again to this, not only by committing the murders that you have justified, but by murdering the man that she is doing all these wrongs to as well.
Thank you very much, Team Jason. And now we are truly going to conclude the debate by having a closing statement by each team. And again, I forget who goes first. Can my students tell me? Team Medea will give their closing statement first. Thank you. No, we do need to do this now. We're not writing it now. We are giving the closing statement. Or Team Jason can jump on up if you're ready. Okay, Team Medea, closing statement.
Our closing statement. During the debate of Medea and Jason, many points were not refuted properly, such as the Corinthians would eventually kill Medea's children. According to the Periclean citizenship law, children of foreigners and women would be exiled or killed, as both parents would have to be native to the land. They would not be a part of the family, and Jason has no control over the safety of his children. Along with this point, you failed to refute Hera being the god of marriage and motherhood, which Medea chose to protect her children. We brought up the idea of divine endorsement as facts and proof to demonstrate that Medea's actions are framed as a response to an unrepentant betrayer supported by an unjust society. They are challenging the framework of divinity, trying to distort the foundation of the play. Infidelity can affect women's life and psychology. It can even cause post-traumatic stress disorder. Along with this, it can cause increased anxiety and depression, which portrays why Medea committed these actions. Love is also a strong emotion, which is hard to control when betrayed in marriage.
I would like to also add to your previous point that we don't know if Jason lives or dies, so I feel like your evidence is inconclusive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Team Medea. Team Jason, your final points, please. Your final statement.
The manipulative character in this play is not Jason, but rather Medea, whose actions show that she is willing to manipulate and kill to achieve her selfish goal of revenge. She used her children and Jason in order to kill the king and the princess. She knew what she was doing and is not free of blame, even though her actions were in response to Jason's disloyalty. Her actions were so extreme that nothing can justify them.
Medea was not under the control of Aphrodite, according to myth. Aphrodite asked her son Eros to shoot Medea with an arrow of love, which does not control her. It only gives her one primal emotion towards Jason. Medea's actions are not justified by the gods' actions. If this were the case, Jason's would be too. Jason is not responsible for the tragedy of this story. He is not responsible for predicting the atrocities Medea commits. Medea chooses to have Jason marry her. Medea chooses to curse the king, and Medea chooses to commit these murders.
During the debate, you also failed to respond to the idea that Medea is not just in killing the king and Glauce. She does not have any personal connections to them. You also failed to acknowledge the fact that the kids were not most likely going to be exiled, so her reason for killing them is not justifiable by that they were going to be killed anyway.
So I want to thank both teams. I have a feeling that this debate could continue. I have a feeling it might even continue over lunch today. But for our purposes here at Holyoke Media, we are concluding. And I would just like to thank anyone who is on YouTube and watching us. Thank you for watching our little debate here. The students are going to read more Greek tragedy. You might like to read Medea if you haven't already. We are going on to read Sophocles' Oedipus Rex and Antigone, if you might like to check out those great Greek tragedies. And then we're going to read Shakespeare's Hamlet, another, of course, very great tragedy, different culture, different time period. Please check out our school, too. If you like what you've seen today, we are the MacDuffie School. We are an international boarding and day school, grades 6 through 12, college prep, with a very diverse student population, as you can tell from our students here today, students from all over the country and all over the world. And we offer a variety of classes for students who have a variety of interests and talents. Check us out. And the students are waving at you and exhorting you to check us out. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody.